Cleanup is done at the Marlin Animal Shelter, where a man who went inside to find a stray dog instead found a dead dog and the kennels in bad shape.
News 10's Jasmine Lotz spoke with that man and the police department and has the latest on this investigation. Jasmine?
Lauren Gordon, these are the kennels where it all started. Jeffrey Rich says that he was here to find a certain stray dog, but didn't expect to find what he describes as disgusting conditions. Now, we want to warn you, the pictures we're about to show you may be hard to watch. Now, Rich says that by looking at the dog's empty and dusty food and water bowls, he could tell that the dogs haven't been fed in weeks. He also says the kennels were a mess and full of feces. Now, I spoke with Marlin PD, who says the dog wasn't dead yesterday and aren't sure what the cause of death was because the facility doesn't do vet screenings. The department also said there's only one staffer who oversees the facility but isn't here 24/7, so cleaning won't be as regulated. Chief Hummel confirmed with KWTX that he asked Rich to take down the videos he captured inside the facility off social media. Rich says he refused and will keep the footage up, hoping for change.
Disgusting. I mean, it was horrible. It's like to see. You can look at a dog, and I can't say you can tell exactly why they died, but you can look at the dog and tell how skinny it was. It most likely died out of starvation, and there was two of them that weren't that much longer from dying of starvation as well.
So far, one dog has been adopted and two others fostered out, meaning there's 6 left here. Reporting live in Marlin, Jasmine Lotz, KWTX News 10.
The animal control facility in Marlin opened in 2022 to address the ongoing problem of long-term care for lost, abandoned, or dumped animals. One woman who helped fund the project says she contributed more than $14,000 to make sure stray animals have somewhere safe to go.
I've had a couple of dogs that have been attacked, and that's not fun when you find your dog that's got ripped skin and everything. So it's important to both of us that our animals are taken care of, and it should be important to everybody.
Before the facility opened, the city did not have reliable animal control, resulting in animals being moved to shelters in Waco or Rosebud. It took the city and donors to contribute around $50,000 to build the facility, which includes 20 kennels, clinic offices, food, water, and 4 acres of land ready to expand in the future.
In 2019, a local animal rescuer discovered a dog left in a Marlin city office over the Thanksgiving holiday. At the time, city officials say it was an emergency situation and that the dog had food and water available, but the animal activist who found the dog says it was left in deplorable conditions. The activist says she went to Marlin to talk to the city's animal control officer about her group hosting a free microchipping event, but ended up finding the dog.
Kept knocking and it smelled real bad, and so I peeked in the window and all I seen was feces everywhere. It was horrendous.
We broke the news to you yesterday of the deplorable conditions at the Marlin Animal Shelter, with animals left with nothing to eat or drink and living in filthy kennels. You're seeing some of that video again right now.
And today, video from inside the facility shows a much better situation. Thank goodness the kennels are clean, the dogs look better, but nonetheless, the pups are in bad shape.
And as of 3 p.m. today, Michelle Ann with Cribs for Canines says that all of the animals are adopted in rescue facilities or foster homes.
News 10's Madison Herbert joins us in studio. You were at Healing Heart Rehab today in Thornton, an animal rescue that took in a pretty severe case. Madison.
That's right, Lauren and Gordon. Owner Deborah Wells said her daughter sent her the appalling video yesterday, and she immediately prepared to take 2 of the dogs in. When she got to the shelter, she knew she wanted the puppy and the dog that needed the most help.
He is a very defeated dog. But he'll come. He'll do all right.
This is Dude, and until yesterday, he was on borrowed time.
He was near death.
40 pounds underweight and debilitated. Dude's condition requires extra attention. Because he hasn't eaten in so long, he has to be reintroduced to food.
He could not walk. And so we went to the vet.
There, He was rated a 1 out of 9 on the starvation level. Dude was at death's door. So the last 24 hours have been critical.
I got you. One at a time.
For saving his life. And now all he has to do is heal.
He's getting some warm food several times a day, so he'll be okay.
And this sweet little ball of energy is Chance, a name fit for a survivor. He's young, resilient. He was also starving. You can feel nothing but bone when you touch his stomach. Deborah says he is also getting reintroduced to food, and it's obvious he has missed many meals.
He wants to just gorge and eat. And so that's his main concern. He'll be fine.
In terms of holding someone accountable, Deborah says when that time comes, she will be in the front row.
You bet. We will be there.
We have put in 2 phone calls with the Marlin Police Department to ask the police chief the latest on their investigation. We did not hear back tonight. Reporting in studio, Madison Herber, KWTX News 10.
Marlin's mayor, Susan Bird, has released a statement after numerous dogs were found dead or in bad condition at the Marlin Animal Shelter. She says she's heartbroken at the unacceptable situation, and her prayers go out to the animals, their owners, and everyone else who's affected. She goes on to say the city will do its best to ensure the responsible parties are held accountable, and that the city is taking this very seriously and will be updating policies and procedures to make sure it doesn't happen again. We're told a peaceful protest is happening this weekend at the Marlin Police Department.
Almost 1 month after multiple dogs were found living in filthy kennels with little to no food or water, the Marlin Animal Shelter remains abandoned.
Some of those dogs may never heal properly 100% and get back to health.
At least 1 dog died in the shelter's care.
It's very disheartening and sad that we have laws in place to protect animals and they're not being enforced.
Through weekly protests, animal rights activists like Frances Fisher and Doreen Berlew have been demanding change.
We would like to see accountability and arrest and charges for animal cruelty, neglect, and endangerment.
My name's Alex. I'm a reporter with Channel 10, and I wanted to see about talking with Sheriff Lopez. Today, I visited the Falls County Sheriff's Office to try and find out the latest on the investigation.
He's not in office at the moment.
No luck.
I'm very upset about the investigation. Most cruelty cases, once the dogs have been seized, then the arrests are made.
Animal rights activists are asking that the Texas Rangers take over this investigation.
I know that Marlin has a very big need for it, and if there's nowhere for these animals to go, and we can't reopen the shelter with the better, proper staffing, this is just going to continue.
We filed an open records request with the city of Marlin to get the incident report from the day of the shelter shutdown. We haven't been able to get a hold of that document just yet, but we'll be sure to provide updates if and when we get that in. In studio, Alex Fulton, KWTX News 10.
More than a month after several dogs were found in deplorable conditions at the Marlin Animal Shelter, one Central Texan has filed a complaint with the Falls County Justice of the Peace. News 10's Jessica Rajkumar talked to that person who worked closely with the animal shelter in Temple, and she says she's tired of waiting for answers.
The Journey Home Rescue and the Temple Animal Shelter work together often to make sure that their dogs are given the care that they need.
You know, the dogs have fresh water. They have a clean area where they can walk around, lay, or hang out.
Doreen Berlew with the Journey Home Rescue has been fighting to see justice for the animals found last month at the Marlin Animal Shelter.
They were very emaciated, malnutrition, starved, dehydrated, and to see all the animals like that was very shocking.
While she has been protesting at the Marlin courthouse every Saturday, Berlew wanted to do something that would convict the person responsible for the shelter and filed a complaint with Falls County Justice of the Peace, Kayla Rosas.
For not providing food, not providing water, not providing proper care to these animals.
I tried to speak with Falls County Sheriff Joe Lopez.
Hi, I was looking to speak with the sheriff, if he is in.
Hold on just a second, we'll check and see if he's up there.
Okay, thank you.
but he was out of the office for a funeral procession. While the complaint has not been signed by a judge yet, Berlew says that the fight is far from over and they will continue to protest until an arrest has been made.
We're going to fight harder. We're not going to go away. We're going to be fighting until these dogs get the justice they deserve.
Reporting in Temple, Jessica Rajkumar, KWTX News 10.
Is KWTX News 10.
Well played.
Yes.
Residents who were anxious to talk about the conditions at the Marlin Animal Shelter are angry tonight after a Marlin City Council meeting was canceled last night at the last minute after only 2 council members and the mayor showed up. News 10's Jessica Rajkumar is in studio today. So Jessica, what happened?
Yes, Gordon, the community was under the impression that members were avoiding talking about the situation with the Marlin Animal Shelter. I tried to call every member to find out what is going on and reached out to the mayor in all 6 precincts. I only heard back from the mayor and 3 members, Deborah Levels McDavid from Precinct 3, Cecil Sparks from Precinct 5, and John Armstrong from Precinct 6, who confirmed he was sick. All of the members who got back to me said that the minimum requirement of 4 members were not present, so they could not hold the meeting. And Council member Levels McDavid reassured that she and other members are against animal cruelty, but the answers the community is looking for could only be provided by the city.
Well, Jessica, you talked to a couple of county officials today, including Sheriff Lopez, who's leading this investigation. What did he have to say?
Yes, Gordon, I reached out to the Falls County Commissioner Court, who says they are not involved in the investigation and can't really do anything. And the Justice of the Peace, Kayla Rosa, was not in her office when I went to go see her. I did, however, talk with the Falls County Sheriff, Joe Lopez, who says he has not forgotten about the investigation and wants to find the person responsible. Sheriff Lopez told me that in his department is understaffed and there are other cases with felony charges that involve young adults that are a high priority for him right now.
I need to make sure that justice is there for them, and when they walk away, they're going to be safe and sound. So that's a priority right now, and not that the dogs aren't, but taking care of those children will be #1 priority with me first.
Marlin and Falls County has had more than a month to get to the bottom of this. What's the reaction from the community?
It's a popular reaction, but the members of this community are not happy. Many took to social media to express their frustration, but they are not done fighting for justice. I spoke with Doreen Berlew, who has been a front runner in this community, and says that they have plans to keep their advocacy going. The next city council meeting is scheduled for this Friday at 6:30, and Berlew and other members of the community are going to rally before the meeting, and they will continue to rally on Saturday like they do every Saturday in front of the Falls County Courthouse. This upcoming Monday, Governor Greg Abbott will be endorsing Hillary Hicklin in Belton, and Berlew says that she and other members of the community will be attempting to reach him to see if they can get his help from a state level. Berlew says they will not stop fighting until the person responsible for the state of the animals is found and charged. Reporting in studio, Jessica Rajkumar, KWTX News 10.
After a disappointing cancellation of Marlin City Council meeting on Tuesday, enough council members were there tonight to meet, and many in attendance were anxious to talk about conditions at the Marlin Animal Shelter.
News 10's Madison Herber has been there all day. Madison, this all started with advocates rallying at 5 o'clock. How did the meeting go?
Lauren, Gordon, the doors didn't actually open until 6:20, and the meeting didn't get started until a few minutes after 6:30 because a council member was running late. But the meeting did get started. The council discussed a couple of election items, and then they opened the floor for citizens. Several people were signed up to speak at Tuesday's meeting, so they have been ready for this moment. Every single one of them wanting answers about what happened and what is happening with the Marlin Animal Shelter. The council had no rebuttal during any of these comments, some of these comments which put Councilmember Cecil Sparks and Mayor Susan Byrd in the hot seat.
Councilman Cecil Sparks was at the Marlin Shelter on January 8th and told news reporters it wasn't that bad. 3 dogs dead in 37 days, how bad does it have to be? 9 additional dogs, all malnourished, how bad does it have to be bad for Councilman Sparks?
This was the mission statement of the Marlin Animal Rescue Society, which Miss Bird was heavily involved in. MARS is linked to the nonprofit organization Falls Animal Rescue Mission, which is registered in Miss Bird's family name. Yes, the mayor of Marlin has rescue experience, where the organization that she helped create promised to help Marlin and Falls County become a better place for animals. But what about the dogs starving until their deaths behind the closed doors of the Marlin City Shelter?
After the meeting adjourned, I asked Mayor Bird how she felt about the outcome of it.
I always admire everybody's First Amendment right to speech, and will defend it to my last breath. And I'm very happy to hear from them. I'm sorry, I don't necessarily agree with all the statements that were made, but everybody's entitled to their own opinion. And I just wish that people would rely on facts rather than hearsay sometimes. But it's well taken, and we're moving forward with the situation. The problem should be resolved in the not too distant future, I would hope.
However, when she was asked, she would not elaborate on which statements were made that are not true. The mayor also said that there is an active investigation which cannot be commented on right now, and that they are looking into resources to make sure this never happens again. Another thing to note, Police Chief Hummel and the animal control officer were in the hot seat too. Advocates also want to see them held accountable. Chief Hummel and the officer were not present at tonight's meeting. I did catch up with animal advocates after the meeting, and Deborah Wells with Healing Heart Rehab says it was great that they finally had the chance to speak. However, it doesn't appease them, and they aren't going to stop until something is actually done.
They hit the points. Excellent, excellent points. The main point is we do need someone unbiased, like the Texas Rangers, the AG, to come in here and do the investigation that the people of this leadership do not want to do.
An hour and a half before the meeting even started, advocates were fired up outside City Hall doing what they have been doing every weekend, and that is being a voice for the voiceless. And they say that you'll see them out there every Saturday until there is accountability. Reporting in studio, Madison Herber, KWTX News 10.
Evidence in the fight for justice for dogs that were at the Marlin Animal Shelter is now literally in Governor Abbott's hands.
The governor was in Belton for a Get Out the Vote rally for her House District 55 candidate Hillary Hickland, where a handful of activists gave him a packet of evidence. News 10's Isabella Quintanilla was there and has more on what those fighting for the dogs are hoping for now from the state.
Earlier this year, the Marlin dog shelter was found in horrible condition. Some dogs were malnourished, feces covered the floor of their kennels, and even one dog was found dead. For weeks now, residents have been pushing the city to investigate and hold whoever is responsible for this accountable, with no luck. Monday, they took a step towards getting the state involved. The Justice for Marlin Dogs group was out here today to protest and also hand Governor Greg Abbott a letter with evidence in hopes of getting the Texas Rangers involved.
The city of Marlin has not listened to us. The county's telling us they don't have time to listen to us or even to look into it. For the first time, I feel like a leader is actually listening to us.
When Hillary Hickland's campaign reached out to Dorothy Sanders and her group, they jumped at the opportunity to tell Governor Abbott about the situation at the Marlin dog shelter and asked for help. To their relief, he told them that he would make it a top priority.
My heart, one part of my passion is to make sure we take care of animals, and we look forward to working with them. They give me a packet that I'll look into and figure out what we can do.
We're praying. This is a path, a fork in the road. It's either going to tell us that we got to continue what we're doing right now and persevere and continue to fight for justice, or this might lead us to what we're asking for, which is a fair and unbiased investigation from the Texas Rangers.
If the Texas Rangers do take over, then Sanders says they will hand over all of their evidence and help support them in any way they can. But for the time being, they will continue to fight for justice.
Until arrests are made, we will be at the Marlin Falls County Courthouse every Saturday at 10 a.m.
Reporting in Belton, Isabella Quintanilla, KWTX News 10.
News 10.
Some Marlin citizens are not backing down to city council members tonight, letting their concerns be heard.
One resident was removed from the meeting during public comment for going over his time limit while demanding justice for the dogs at the city's animal shelter that were found in deplorable conditions over 2 months ago. News 10's Jasmine Lotz has been there all night to get the details. Jasmine, how did it go?
Lauren Gordon, there's a lot to unpack here. Just moments ago, while I was standing outside, residents who were inside the meeting said that council members got up, walked out of the meeting, and wasn't able to finish the full agenda. Some residents say that the council members were arguing back and forth, mainly upset at Mayor Byrd for overriding the city manager's duties. Now, as far as the resident being escorted out, law enforcement removed resident Roy Martinez while asking who was going to be punished for the animal cruelty case, which is a felony in the state. As an officer walked up to him, he stated his First Amendment right and was escorted out, but eventually was able to join the meeting again. Some residents say if someone is willing to get consequences for wanting to get their point across, it shows how fed up they are. The group brought up reported inconsistencies in the case, like how some dogs are brought into the shelter in malnourished conditions, but some residents provided evidence which showed this wasn't the case. Residents say this leads to even more concerns. Let's take a listen.
Furthermore, the city charter states that the mayor and 3 council members can call a special meeting. Today is 9 weeks. 9 weeks and none of this has been done. And we have to ask ourselves why.
And after the executive session, council members say they want Chief Hummel to provide a draft set of animal control facility policies for the council members to review and approve.
Some people in Marlin say they're taking matters into their own hands after not getting answers from the Falls County Sheriff's Office regarding deplorable conditions at the city's animal shelter and dead dogs.
A member from the Justice for Marlin's Dogs group spoke with the council tonight about starting a volunteer program to help with the shelter once it reopens. News 10's Jasmine Lotz was at that council meeting and talked to an organizer about this program. How did this go tonight, Jasmine?
Well, Lauren Gordon, I spoke with Valerie Mann, who has been rallying for the animals for the past 4 months and came up with this idea. She says she's willing to pursue a different approach so the focus can remain on the health and safety of the animals.
It's been 4 months.
Folks in Marlin say 4 months is too long for no one to be held accountable for the deplorable conditions at the Marlin Animal Shelter.
It's been very frustrating. We are being given excuses and reasonings every which way. No one's been able to come out and not even have a spokesperson come out and at least tell the community and the public what's actually happening.
Animal advocate Valerie Mann has been demanding accountability from the city since the start of the animal shelter's investigation.
I was asked today to come to talk about an animal shelter program.
Instead of just asking for accountability, she's taking action with an idea for a volunteer program.
With the last tragedy that we just had with the animal shelter, it looks like we're not making any strides forward. So doing something like this will at least give the community a little bit of hope.
Mann says the volunteer program would include a coordinator to find volunteers, provide training, and oversee them. She says volunteers would have to feed, walk, play with the dogs, and clean kennels once a week for a couple of hours. Adding there will be a key fob system to keep track of who enters and exits the facility. Some people vouched for Mann, saying she would do an amazing job.
We're not in it just for the criminal aspect of it. We actually want the well-being of the animals to be taken care of. Not only in Marlin, we would love to have it everywhere. My hope is that they adopt a program and then they can show that they are actually in it for the right reasons. The council heard Mann's presentation and had no questions. Mann says she plans to start a Facebook page for any interested volunteers. Now, I tried calling Sheriff Lopez with the Falls County Sheriff's Office to get an update on the investigation, but haven't heard back. In the studio, Jasmine Lotz, KWTX News 10.